Okay, so with Corey Kluber making his second start as a Yankee this spring, we finally got a good look at him on TV, and bad news for the American League, it looks as if Corey Kluber is back, folks. I identified at least 5 different types of pitches that he was throwing today, topping out with a 4-seam fastball at 93, but his signature slider at about 84 to 85, that was the pitch that stuck out with me. It had a ton of break. One of them even broke so much that it hit the left-handed batter in the leg. His cutter was at about 89 miles an hour, and it was positively filthy on a hard downward plane. It works kind of like a sinker. He matched that up with a 2-seam fastball, which got taken out of the park for a long ball, just kind of stayed up in the zone. He also showed off what appeared to be an 82 to 83 mile an hour slower curveball with really good bite. He was throwing his slider to both sides of the plate, even backdoor to lefties. I thought he worked well with Gary Sanchez. It looked like Gary was not having too much difficulty with that slider. There was one wild pitch, but you can't pin that on Gary Sanchez. Gary seems to do a nice job with guys who throw sliders like Masahiro Tanaka, and less well with guys who throw a lot of curveballs in the dirt like Gerrit Cole or Sonny Gray. Kluber did have some command issues. He hit 2 guys, but his mechanics looked free and easy. He fielded his position well, and David Cone mentioned on the broadcast that of the 2 injuries that he suffered over the past 2 years, one of them was a freak line drive back to the forearm, and the other one was in an area of the back called the teres major, which once healed generally does not become a recurring injury. Look, it's going to come down to health, right? But I think Corey Kluber is healthy. He looks healthy. He looks confident. And I feel like he's in for a humongous season. Alright, so we're just a few weeks away from opening day, so let's take a look at how the rotation is doing. This rotation that was supposedly put together with duct tape by Brian Cashman this winter. Gerrit Cole is Gerrit Cole. He was filthy his last time out against the Phillies. One thing that strikes me about Gerrit Cole is that he's already throwing 99, and his breaking ball looks a lot better than it did last year. And his breaking ball was really good last year, but it's got much more of a 12-6 tilt in 2021. Take it from me, I've been watching baseball for over 30 years, and you can't read too much into spring training stats. Our stats are ridiculous this spring, and they're not going to be that ridiculous during the regular season. Guys are going to have bad outings, but you can only be encouraged by some of the stuff that these guys have shown. Gerrit Cole looks like Gerrit Cole. He's going to be our ace. He had a bit of trouble his first time out with command, but he looked much better his second time around. Jameson Taillon was a big question mark coming into spring. 2 Tommy John surgeries, coming over from Pittsburgh. How would he fare? So far, I've been impressed. Again, don't read too much into the stats, but 9 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings tells me he's got pretty good stuff. He's 94, 95 with the fastball as of his last start. His curveball has been absolutely wipeout. He was missing up in the zone a little bit his last time out. That's not unusual in spring. He's trying to dial up his velocity. Anybody who's pitched can tell you when you try and overthrow a little bit, you generally miss high in the zone because you extend your arm a little bit more. He should dial that in as spring training goes along. Really impressed by his curveball. I don't think there's ever been any question about Domingo Germán's stuff. He's just had some off-the-field issues. Always had a wipeout curveball and a mid to upper 90s fastball. Usually sits around 94, 95. That's pretty much what we've seen this spring. To me, his mechanics have looked really smooth this spring. He has not walked a batter, which is incredible because he didn't pitch last year at all. And his changeup has been a plus changeup so far. If he can mix that in, he's going to be disgusting. If you've been watching this channel since its inception, you know that I'm a big Jordan Montgomery fan. I love the way he induces soft contact, gets nice, easy ground balls. To me, that's indicative of somebody who can pitch deep into games, because if you're getting easy ground balls early in the count, that means you're not throwing a ton of pitches, so you can get through 6 or 7 innings, and if you're throwing 12 to 15 pitches an inning, that's about 100 pitches. That's pretty good. Montgomery is another year removed from Tommy John surgery. He's been moving the ball in and out. He's been jamming guys. He's been throwing a pretty good changeup. We know about his great curveball. His fastball has been, 93, 94 miles an hour at times. We've also seen him sit at 91 at times. I'm not too concerned with his velocity. I'm mostly concerned with his health and his command, because he's not a velocity guy. He's just a good, crafty, left-handed pitcher. And I know the Yankees are very high on him. Plus, historically, the Yankees have never gone far in the playoffs without a lefty in their rotation. Deivi Garcia is one of the most exciting young pitchers on the Yankees, and so far he's pitching pretty well. 8 strikeouts in 5 innings, 0 walks. Again, showcasing that great command that he showed when he came up last year. He's not throwing as hard as he did when he was a prospect. When he was a prospect in the Futures game, he was touching 97 miles an hour. Now he's mostly sitting at 91 to 94, but that might be intentional. He's a guy who's kind of small of stature, so you don't want to put too much pressure going max velocity every single time. Garcia gets a little bit of late life on his fastball, and it's not extraordinary movement, but it does seem to be moving later than most pitches do. That's something that made Mariano Rivera's cutter so good. It was late. Garcia probably deserves to be in the rotation, but it won't surprise me if the Yankees start him at AAA. This episode is brought to you in part by Vector Travel. Visit bookings.vectorstays.com and enter the code NYY Recaps at checkout to get 10% off your next stay. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel.